Americans, even though we know now that they never did trickle down, they never did cause dramatic economic growth, and they never created any new jobs. And the entire Bush economic plan, if there is a plan, is exactly that the wealthy have gotten much wealthier. The middle-income people of America have seen a freezing of their wages in real terms. They've seen their unions under great pressure. They've been put in competition with 50 cent an hour Vietnam and China. It's been a real disparity in America, whether you're a wealthy person or a poor person. And I would suggest if you're a wealthy person and you don't care about your country, you ought to vote for McCain, because he's going to continue those policies, where Obama has a completely different philosophy. He's not talking about wealth redistribution. He's talking about equal opportunity. He's talking about the same principles our founding fathers talked about hundreds of years ago, where everybody at birth has the same opportunities, regardless of their inherited status and who their parents are.
How much do you think Obama knew about CMOs, CDOs, structured investment vehicles, swaps, and derivatives a year ago?
Well, it's fascinating, because I assume he didn't know much because he's a lawyer, and I've worked with lawyers my whole life, and they don't know much about those products. But then Obama gave a speech in March of 2008 on Wall Street at the Cooper Union, and it's on his website if you'd like to read it, but I cite it in the book because in March 2008, John McCain and Hillary Clinton were suggesting the answer to this $6 or $7 trillion problem was to give homeowners $10 billion, which I think, by your math works out to about $10 per homeowner or something like that. It's not a lot of money, right?
You're going to keep coming back on my math, aren't you?
Yeah. But anyway, at that time, Obama went and gave a speech and said, no, guys, and he talked directly to the Wall Street executives. He said, guys, the gig is up. The gig is up. You've taken hundreds of billions of dollars of profits out of this business, out of the mortgage business for the last 10, 15 years. He says it's over. He says you're going to be re-regulated. And he went through 6 areas of regulation that needed to be implemented, from, appraisers in the field and real estate agents to fraudulent mortgage brokers, all the way up through the commercial banks and the need for greater capital adequacy and less leverage on behalf of the banks. I'll tell you, I was shocked because I knew he didn't have a finance background. I knew he had hundreds of financial advisors whispering in his ear. This showed to me the man's wisdom, that he could listen to lots of different advice, huge number of different facts in a very complex subject, and come up with exactly the right solution. I was pretty impressed.
I'll have to look that up. I think that's been under-publicized by his campaign. I think going on the record at Cooper Union and kind of ringing the clarion call for an impending crisis and pointing to reform, possible reform, is something that has been underreported in this campaign.
I agree. You got to be careful, though, because it's very easy to distort a candidate's position. If you came out as the pro-regulation candidate, that's a tough stance to hold, because around the world, in countries like India and Peru, regulation is what's killing new business formation. It takes 160 steps to start a business in Peru. It takes 6 months to get all the applications in. But when you extend that argument to taking away all regulation on a bank, to allow our banks to leverage themselves 25 to 1, to allow Citibank to hold hundreds of billions of assets off balance sheet, just years after Enron collapsed because of its off-balance sheet activities, to allow the $65 trillion CDS market to grow without any regulation, and to allow hedge funds to operate with no reporting requirements, I'd say that's taking a good concept a bit far.
I wonder why regulation has such a bad name. It's just an anathema. It's the kiss of death for candidates, as you know, and the kind of regulation we're talking about here is not Soviet style Gulag era regulation. It's just the regulation for fair and orderly markets. How did regulation get such a bad name?
Well, I don't know where it started. I can tell you who pushed it were people like Rush Limbaugh, the same people that pushed the word liberal as being a dirty word. And it's not by accident, right? I mean, there are very powerful forces here, which are our wealthiest citizens and our biggest corporations, who are trying to control our government. It sounds like the plot of a B movie, right? except that not only is it true in all these fields, it's coming true painfully well in the case of housing, and that people are starting to lose their homes now. And this next level of this crisis is we're going to go into a severe recession, and people are going to start losing their jobs. So yeah, if you're a business owner and you have great power and you can influence your congressman and your president, what is it that you really want? What is the quid pro quo for you donating tens of millions of dollars to their campaigns? You want to be unregulated. I mean, you want to be able to make profits everywhere you see possible. And the biggest line item expense on your income statement is worker expense. You want to bust up their unions. You want to, reduce environmental reporting. You want to not worry about quality control. You want to try to figure out sophisticated ways to get your workers in competition with low-wage workers around the world. I mean, these are the things that deregulation bring that you don't hear so much about.
John, it might interest you to know that on WJR in Detroit, I recently called out Rush Limbaugh. I asked him to step out of his air-conditioned limo, maybe change out of his $5,000 suit into something a little bit more casual, maybe pop a few less prescription pills that day, and just hang out with regular folks and see how much they're suffering in this economy. And I'd love to either have him a guest on our show or be a guest on his show. But our country's been told a great lie by some very skilled liars like Rush Limbaugh, and like guys behind the scenes, the puppeteers, guys like Karl Rove. John, I want to thank you very much for being on our show. I will extend the same invitation to you as I did to Robin Hanel. If we can get you, you're in the Bay Area, is that correct, or someplace in California?
I'm down south of San Diego.
All right, so if we could get you up here to a town hall meeting, do you think you could make it, given your schedule?
Yeah, we'll look into it. Sounds good.
Very good. We'd love to have you. I didn't even ask the question that personally I was most interested in. You worked with Hank Paulson. I was wondering what the guy was like, but we'll save the man. I was always interested in personalities. We'll get to that when you come up here in Northern California. Thank you very much, John.
One word: impulsive. Which you're beginning to see, I think.
Impulsive. Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. I'm extending an invitation again to all classes out there in Mendocino County and their teachers who would like to help us produce shows, choose a guest, choose a subject, kind of produce the show insofar as shaping the content of the show. This is participatory democracy. Also, I encourage the management of our station and the community to do some town hall meetings.